Appointed Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler, who is accused of insider trading following a classified Senate briefing on the severity of COVID-19 back in January, has just disclosed more information about her stocks, what she dumped, what she purchased after receiving incredibly important insider information on COVID-19. So earlier, we had shared this story about how she and her husband, who is the chair of the New York Stock Exchange, dumped a bunch of stock earlier this year, immediately after she had that Senate briefing. This latest filing is a little later than that, but a lot of the stocks that she dumped were still prior to the general public knowing and really understanding the severity of COVID-19. So the Atlanta Journal-Constitution did a great story on this with more details, but let me share some of them with you. The largest transactions, they write, and the most politically problematic, involve $18.7 million in sales of Intercontinental Exchange stock in 3 separate deals dated February 26th and March 11th. Loeffler is a former executive with the Intercontinental Exchange. So you see ICE in the graphic, but it's not the ICE that we're thinking of when it comes to immigration. And her husband, Jeff Sprecher, or Sprecher, is the CEO of the company, which owns the New York Stock Exchange, among other financial marketplaces. The couple also sold shares in retail stores, which certainly have been hit by this pandemic, such as Lululemon and TJ Maxx, and invested in a company that makes COVID-19 protective garments. Interesting. There's more, but John, I want you to jump in.
Yeah, every added detail makes it harder to believe the cover story that they've come up with. I mean, I understand she's incredibly wealthy. That's sort of the defense. We sell millions of dollars in stock all the time. I don't even know about it. That's how much money I have. Fortunes come and go every day. They tell me about it months later. I don't know. So that's what we're supposed to believe. Hey, maybe it's true, but it sure does seem coincidental that a bunch of senators engaged in what seem like incredibly strategic both buys and sells directly related to the industries that are going to be hurt and those that are going to potentially profit. Not necessarily that did profit, but those that it would be reasonable to assume would. I think for regular people, that is incredibly hard to believe. And that's why there needs to be an investigation. She's released a few financial disclosure documents. No, we need people to look into the communications between her and her husband and whoever is actually managing these trades. If she actually communicated with them, especially in the immediate aftermath of that classified briefing, then there's probably some sort of documented trail that we can find, and that would severely undercut the story that she's trying to spin.
Absolutely. Look, as always, of course, we have a justice system, and, on Twitter and social media, I'll usually refer to stories like this and I'll say prison, right? Because based on the evidence that we have in front of us right now, she sure as hell looks guilty. But of course, we have the justice system for a reason, and she should have her day in court, along with all the other senators who have been implicated in this. So Richard Burr is part of this. There's some indication that Senator Inhofe also dumped some stocks. All of these cases are a little different from one another. Dianne Feinstein apparently dumped some stocks. We don't know if every single one of them is guilty. What we do know is that there's some suspicious behavior, suspicious activity in their trading immediately following that Senate briefing. And so I think that it makes all the sense in the world to do this investigation. And by the way, just to give you some more detail into what this couple purchased, they apparently bought $206,774 in chemical giant DuPont, 4 transactions in late February and early March. Now, DuPont has performed poorly on Wall Street lately, but the company is a major supplier of desperately needed personal protective gear as the global pandemic strains hospitals and first responders.
Yeah. Huge coincidence.
Just a big coincidence.
It is insane. It is insane that they can own stock and they can trade in stock. I was talking about it with JR in the morning. Like, if you bring up the possibility that someone who They want you to believe they're serving their country as a senator or as a representative. The idea that they should not be able to own stock, people be like, oh my God, seriously? You expect them to sacrifice that much while they're serving our country? Even though we make massive restrictions on what people in the armed forces can do while they're serving their country, they give up all sorts of rights. But senators who are given incredible amounts of power and privilege and will definitely be rich for the rest of their lives, lobbying jobs and all that, we can't temporarily stop them from trading stocks while they're in office. We don't let athletes bet on games they play in. You know why? Because even though the stakes are really, really, really low, we know that theoretically some of them might want to influence the outcome. It is reasonable to assume that if someone can make money by influencing the outcome of something, they're going to do that. She's been in the Senate for like a couple of months. I don't extend any trust to her, okay? No, like if you can make decisions, if you can pass legislation that'll affect stock prices, that bothers me. The entire idea that Mnuchin is going to be able to hand out huge quantities of money, you don't think he's going to personally profit off of that, knowing what stocks are likely to skyrocket after the government hands them dozens of billions of dollars? And no, I don't trust her any more than him.
Yeah, 100%. And just to give you a little bit of a positive update to this story, because look, I really want people to stop having this like defeatist mentality, because I see a lot of people on social media saying, well, they're senators, they're above the law, so there's no use fighting them on this. No, we need to apply pressure. I don't think Americans understand how powerful a collectivist movement can really be. And luckily, there's been enough pushback that the FEC is looking into this to some extent. So I'm sorry, the FTC. So the investigators have actually reached out to Senator Richard Burr of North Carolina, who along with Loeffler has faced widespread criticism about stock trading. Transactions made by the U.S. Senators David Perdue of Georgia, Dianne Feinstein of California, and Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma were also criticized, but to a lesser extent. As I said earlier, each case is a little different, right? So the reason why I focus so much on Kelly Loeffler is because her actions, basically, in addition to the fact that she's married with the chair of the New York Stock Exchange, make her case particularly egregious.
Yeah. Yeah, although you know, I'm it's good of you to point out the differences between all of these. But you know what? Just to be safe, let's ban them all from owning stocks. That should cover everyone's
totally
concerns,
agree.
I think. And barring that, an investigation and possibly prison.
Definitely, because it's not public servant isn't like a suggested title, right? You're called a public servant because you're meant to serve. It's a duty that you have signed up for. But that job title has become so corrupted that people just see dollar signs. And right now, we need leaders who actually want to represent us. And keep in mind, Senator Loeffler was not elected. She was appointed. And it's because she can't win based on her own merits.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.